Ladies and gentlemen. I was going to keep going with that, but I figured why bother.
The amount of V's I have in this text box from pressing V for push to talk is insane.
Yeah, I made sure to go to push to talk this time because of my keyboard. I forgot how loud it was.
When you're the only viewer and it's your stream, PogChamp.
That's usually me. I watch my own stream.
The ping should be coming in for people on across different servers. Yeah, that works too.
Oh, shit, we might get sound here for 1 sec. Haha, I caught it first. Why does it not even show the channel live for me? What?
It's live for me. We're fine. People are rolling into chat.
I know, I was just trying to get it open. Dismiss. Booyah. I have friends. Man, don't copy my pasta.
I'll copy your pasta even if you copy my pasta of copying your pasta.
Rip.
Give it a few more minutes, then we'll roll on.
Oh, don't you guys start.
See, this is why you need a countdown timer.
Yeah.
Wreck.
Oh god. The amount of pings, it's not good.
No, we're gonna start in 1 minute. Once it hits 8:35 on my clock, even though I know it's way different time for you guys.
That's right now.
Now it's now. All right. So this is going to be the power rankings for week 4. This week we are joined by Brasky. Welcome, Brasky.
Thanks for having me.
Not a problem, buddy. And of course, Scritchy Rich is here.
Hey guys.
And this is going to be for, well, week 4, but last week's power rankings. I'm excited for this week. It's going to be fun. Basically because it's not the same teams in the same orders anymore. It's kind of it's going to be a new day this week, or a new week, whatever you want to call it. I don't care. But should be an exciting list this time around. I like the communities too. It was pretty good.
Oh yeah, there's some spicy picks in there.
Yeah, there's been a lot of up and downs between the 1 through 20 spot. There's going to be a few surprises in here. I think people will definitely have opinions about.
God, I love your voice. All right, so let's get started with number 20. Hold on, click the wrong button. I did not mean to do that. All right, there we go. So, number 20 is not the Hombres for once. This is, like I said, it's a new week, new day, new season, and the Hombres are not at number 20. So, I got Philly Hearth here. We played them last week. They honestly could have won the week pretty easily, but they DQ'd twice. And it was the same case for the week before. they're not stepping up or showing up at all. Like it seems the people who play do a pretty good job. Um, they get consistent points out of them. It's just they got to get people to show up and actually play. But right now they're just they're putting in no effort. So they're at number 20.
Yep. I got them here too. They were sitting at 19 for a while behind Bad Hombres, or I guess ahead of them. But I don't know. They have yet to put up a double-digit point week. Um, and they're a new team in the league, but I still think that they're trying to figure out how to get everyone involved. So we'll see if they can turn it around. But right now, number 20.
Yeah, no, I think they're suffering from new team syndrome. They have a couple of shining examples, especially in their 2 and 5 seeds, who have stacked up a decent amount of points from. But that many DQs is going to hurt you, and that's kind of why they're at number 20. If they put it all together, can they beat any team in any given week? Absolutely. It's not like they're a bunch of chumps out there, but one, they need to show up and coordinate everything, and two, just kind of learn the ins and outs of the league, and then they can maybe kind of dig themselves out and start getting some points.
Yeah, it seems when they actually get their games played, they do pretty good. Despite the results, Steffi played really well. It was a fun series. All right, let's see who we got here at number 19. Yeah, unanimous result again. I got always top deck lethal. They haven't performed yet this season. I think they still can. They got lots of time yet, but they just lost to the Hombres, which is a massive hit to your ego regardless, and they lost hard. So yeah, they got a big hill to climb if they want to try and come back this season, but I think they can. Just a really rough start so far.
Yeah. We were kind of talking about them in the 16, 17 range in those teams for a little bit, but after the loss to the Hombres, it's kind of hard to put them back there. I think that speaks more to the Hombres and what they came out to do that week. But at the same time, you got to beat the Hombres, and they didn't get close. So they're down here for me.
You see, I'm someone who has not viewed, like, I've having played the Hombres in week one. It's a different type of Hombres team. They aren't bringing like the memeiest of meme decks. They're bringing off meta stuff, but they're definitely talented players doing some playing with some funky decks. So I don't think that they are really the bottom dwellers that people make them out to be. And so ATL, I think, definitely has had a rough start to the season, but still 31 points on the year. They still have one team victory to their credit, which is more I can say for some of the other teams that are, or at least one other team that's ahead of them. So is ATL the 19th worst team? I think the community thinks so. I think they're a few spots higher than that personally.
Yeah, just gotta get those results, I guess. It's losing to the Hombres that does it, but like you said, I wanted to mention that too. They're not the memeiest of memes this season, so it's not as big of a hit to the ego, I don't think. But all right. But I got get off my lawn. Uh, they're exactly what we said they would be at the start of the season. So far, anyway, they're a team that doesn't like go out of their way to try super hard to win. They still play meta stuff and have a good time with it, but they're not going out of their way to play like the top tier deck to the best of its capabilities and try to win their best like every single game. They're just in it for fun, and yeah, they're still decent players, but they're not doing the greatest.
Yeah. Like you said, well, you didn't say, but this is the other team that's 0-3 so far, along with Philly Hearth. And I think it's an interesting statistic is that their bottom four seeds have combined to go 3-8 in matches this season. And that's just too many gaps in there. Hamboin is 2-1, but if you have four seeds that are putting up losing records, then you're gonna have to shift some things around. I don't know again exactly what's going on in there. I saw Jack Sox on stream 2 weeks ago brought some pretty spicy decks, so who knows? But I think that they just got to perform if they're trying to shoot for playoffs, and doesn't look like they're gonna make it as of right now.
Yeah, these guys are the like rec league YMCA team of THL. Just a
That's what
bunch
I
of
was thinking of.
a bunch of old dudes just getting together, talking about the good old days, playing some wacky Hearthstone decks, and just going, I'm just gonna throw some crap up there and see what happens. And so far, that means it's been 0-3.
I love that analogy. That's exactly what I was trying to think of. That was perfect. All right, so we have our first differing opinion anyway. Down here, I got the Defias Brotherhood. So they just have not really shown up this season. They had 2 DQs this last week here, which is a giant hit because they were doing really well in that series too. They probably would have smashed it, but they still got the win, so that helps. Uh, but barely squeaked by, DQ'd twice. They're one of the bottom teams in terms of points, but I honestly think they're going to turn it around pretty quick. They just got to actually show up and play.
Cool. So I'm the first person to rank the Hombres. It's kind of fresh. I think it's what third season where we've seen the Hombres, and they're not bottom anymore. The reason I have them here instead of a little higher, as you'll see later on with the community and Chigma, uh, is because they lost to Swagway and Doghouse, which were and the Heck Boys, included in that mix, are the three kind of teams shooting for the playoffs out of purple, and they lost by around 10 points. It was 9 and 8 point losses to both of them. And then they beat ATL, which is a team that had been struggling. They beat Noob Central, but that's not a big accomplishment, I don't think. So I think that the Hombres overall, like Brasky said, they are really good players for their PR because, they've been losing a lot with the memes they've been playing. But now they've kind of been playing more off meta, decks. And if these are good players, it doesn't matter, maybe 1 or 2 tiers down of decks, and you still are going to see results come in. So we play them this week, and I'm really interested to see what happens. I want to see if they come out to hunt us down or if we can pull off the W. But I have them here. I'm going to wait a few more weeks to see if they can move up a little more.
Yeah, we have Noob Central in the 17th spot simply because they're at the bottom of the the purple, the magenta division themselves. They're only 1 and 2. That win is over Doghouse, which is pretty decent. But they've also, I mean, they lost to ATL. They really are a team that has a good 1 seed, a good 4 seed. That's where the majority of their points come from. And just having two good players is not gonna get you to the playoffs by itself. So that's kind of where the noobs are at. Now that said, they still have plenty of opportunities to rise up, and they aren't that far behind. They're about 11 points behind the Doghouse and Swagway, so there's plenty of room to gain right there. But at the moment, they're probably the worst of that division.
Yeah, this blue and purple thing is going to get messy, I think, in the next couple weeks. All right. So this is my appearance of Bad Hombres. They are not the gutter meme team that they used to be. They're still playing like not the top tier decks, but uh, they're winning with the not top tier decks as well, which is always a good thing to see. I've always wanted to see them succeed. I love to see them make the playoffs. It'd be awesome. But so far they've lost to the teams ahead of them, so I don't know how that's going to turn out. I guess they're just going to have to underperform. But it's good to see the Hombres not at 20. Uh, well, I don't know if it's good or bad. Depends how you look at it, but I love it. But yeah, they've done all right. They're better points wise than a lot of teams. No, a fair amount of teams in the league. So I think they're deserving a 16.
Cool. So over here, I got the Pod People. They are 1 and 2 currently, and they come off a close 1 point victory against NWA. Um, and I don't think that's definitely the weakest team they've played. They lost to HSA and Thermic Whims, and I think that this is a team that has potential. Uh, they put up 10 on Thermic Whims, and that was their first week against HSA when they put up only 7. But this might be the point of a turnaround, trying to maybe uh, push for a few more wins than they had last season. And I think that keeping these guys down here just because of what they've done in the past and just their roster, I don't think that, and they're 14 points out right now, and it's early in the season, but I think that's going to be hard to, especially in that conference, surmount. But I think that we'll have to wait and see on the Pod People. But for now, I'll keep them down here.
Yeah, we have Defias Brotherhood coming in at the 16th spot here, which is I thought would actually be a little bit lower. To be completely honest, they have not had a great start to their season. Their season's been kind of a disaster so far. Last week in week 3, They go up against Prep Coin Concede, and they're 1 and 5 seeds. Genets and AO both DQ and go 0-3. The rest of their team goes wins their matches, and they pulled out a team victory over Prep Coin Concede. But overall, it's been a really Jekyll and Hyde season for Defias. Sometimes it looks like they're going to pull it together, but then something falls apart on them. So I think they have the opportunity, especially with Get Off My Lawn coming up against them this weekend, to kind of pull themselves together. But right now, they aren't really. They You look at going up against Defias, you don't know what you're gonna get.
Yeah, it's the same thing I was saying earlier. I think if they don't win next week, that could be the end of their season pretty early. I think it's make or break. All right, so let's see what we got at number 15. I don't even know if they're deserving of this high, honestly. It's hard to say. They're in the bottom of an already kind of weaker division slash conference, so I think they should be doing better if they want to be considered better anyway. Um, but I mean, like Brasky touched on earlier, they got a solid 1 and a solid 4, but the rest of them really got to step up because there's been absolutely no point production out of the rest of them whatsoever. I mean, they had a DQ in their first week, so that didn't help. But yeah, so far they're at the bottom of a already like weaker conference slash again division, so they got to step up if they want to move up.
Cool. I have Defias here. I also think that this might have been a little too high for them, but they have just not really come out to play this season. And again, at the beginning of the season, this roster, even though it was in a tough division, looked like it could maybe pull out a few wins because we've seen Arcane do well in the 4, we've seen GNets do well in the 1, Comp has done well in the 3. And then you had guys like Joe Hearthstone and Aya who come in and they've been able to pull off wins, not consistently, but enough to get the team by. And I thought that this team was going to be pretty, shooting for trying to get up there and try and get maybe snag a wild card at the beginning of the season, but they've really disappointed me this season. So they're down here. Like I said, maybe should have put them a little lower. So yeah, I think that's just overall analysis.
We have the Pod people coming in at number 15. They finally got off the schneid and got a win in. I think that overall they have a decent lineup of people. Their point spread is kind of really divvied out pretty evenly amongst their seeds. But they finally got a win under their belts. They have 34 points. We'll know more about them this week as they take on Aeon. And if they pull out an upset, I think that'll be more of a statement on the Pod people's part as opposed to Aeon's part. And going forward, I think three out of their next 4 weeks they have just an insane schedule. They have Aeon, Get Off My Lawn, Team Golden Wisp, and Dirty Mike and the boys in the next 4 weeks. So we'll learn a lot about the Pod people here uh, in the next couple weeks and really kind of see what kind of team they are.
Yeah, that conference is just insane. I wouldn't want to play over there, honestly.
Yeah. So I got NWA here. They put up a good amount of points so far, and they're only 7 points out of the playoffs. And the majority of those points have come from Arthur Rhodes and uh, Starden. And so I think that's good. Starden rising above 100 PR, which is great news. And I think that their team can win. Tony Montana, used to be around 500 PR in the 1 seed, and is making their way back up to the 1 seed after ZT Dubs lost a few weeks ago. I think Dubs wins in the 2 seed, so it'll be interesting to see how well Dubs handles the 2 seed. I think that it will suit him better. Them better. And Force of Will has always proven to us that he can win in the 4 seed. So I think this team all around has the potential to win and go far, but they also just haven't shown us so far that they're going to be able to do that and get into a playoff spot. Trying to pull this up here, but They beat Golden Wisp, or not Golden Wisp, sorry. They beat Get Off My Lawn, but they've played Aeon and Pod People, and if they're looking to make a playoff run, they would have had to beat Pod People, I think. And losing to the Pod People means that they're going to be down here for me. So that's that.
Yeah, for us, the community has the Bad Hombres at number 14, and I think rightfully so. They are not the bottom dwellers that a lot of people expected them that they usually take on this season. They've put up a very decent season so far, to the point where their overall they're 1-2 as a team, but if you take all their games together, they have a winning record. I think they're 34 and 31 in total games played right now. So that's a 39-point team. They've had pretty even point distribution throughout every spot in their rankings except the 3 seed, which has been pretty weak for them. But anytime you put an 18-point week together, you're going to move up in the rankings. At least the community is going to give you the credit for it. And so, yeah, I think well deserved being in the 14 spot, getting out of that bottom 5, and who knows where they go from here because they have a pretty favorable schedule going forward.
Yeah, I agree. Uh, Hold up. That went all messy there for a second. All right. So number 13, I have NWA. Again, they just lost to the Pod People. They're not terribly behind in points, but that loss was huge if they want to stay in the race because they have probably the 2 best teams in the league to chase in Aeon and Team Golden Wisp. Like they're going to be there the whole season, and if they're going to try and steal a spot from the old green teal sign division, whatever you want to call it, it's still going to be rough to do. But that's honestly at this rate, I think, going to be their best bet. Like I said, they're just one of those kind of middle teams in a division that's just too strong, and I don't think they're going to come out on top of that one.
Yeah. So I have Noob Central here, which is pretty high. But my reasoning for this a lot has to do with just overall. We just played them last week, and it was close. They beat us by 1 point. Josh Sampson and Slimsh, obviously Slimsh, but Josh Sampson has come out to really do well this season. 9-4 so far in games, and 3-0 on the season. So if I think they're a good team. They're just part of a really not like a good division, but a division that's really close in points. So if they come out on top of, Dog Swagway, Heck Boys, and even Hombres at this point, all of them, are within 11 points of each other. So anything could happen, which is why I have them a little closer towards the center of this rankings. But I think that out of those teams, uh, they and the Bad Hombres are competing to try and maybe join the top 3 teams in that division, and we'll have to see. But I think that they have a real shot at it. And after playing them last week, like I said, it changes the mindset about some of these teams. So that's a little personal bias.
Yeah, we have Netherstorm coming in at the 13th spot. They're a decently solid team. Are they a playoff team? We don't know yet. They are kind of where they belong right here in the 13th spot. I kind of had them somewhere between 10 and 13 as well. They're 1-2 overall. Their complete match record is, I think, at least like a direct 500. I think they're like 25 and 25 overall. They are a solid mid-tier team. Could they get on a hot streak and sneak into the playoffs? Absolutely. I think the blue, magenta, that conference overall, people consider it to be a little bit weaker. I don't know if it's as weak as people say it is, but it's definitely going to be a fight to the very end to see who's going to make the playoff spots there. And they definitely have a shot. They're only 8 points back of a playoff spot. So they have a lot of room ahead of them, and they have a schedule that will definitely challenge them, but it's not insurmountable. So they have some work to do, but I think it's possible for them to sneak into the playoffs.
Thanks, buddy. I did it again. All right, there we go. That's really tricky to try and click all those properly. So I got Netherstorm at number 12, my team. You could say the same for what Brasky said. We're anywhere from 10 to probably 14, depending on how you want to rank it, really. But we got our first win last week with the help of some DQs, but I think we would have won the matches anyway, but I'll take it. Me and Twiz definitely have gotten like our fair share of points this season. We're like 10 and 9 apiece, and then Expendable in the 5 has been doing his damnedest to do whatever he can. He's got his 8 points. I think this week, right coming up for this week here, we're playing Synergy. I think this is our make or break week, at least for early on in the season. If we want to like solidify at least our spot in the race, I think we have to win this week, or at least come really close. Get within like a couple points, even if we like don't win. But I think we got to take it this week if we want to make a statement for the playoffs. Make a statement for moving up in the rankings as well.
Yep. I also have another storm here. I think that you made a really good point that Shigmo, yourself, Twiz, and Expendable are all put up 8, 9, and 10 points respectively so far. And that's kind of the key to shooting for the playoffs is to have 3 players on your team at least that can really just consistently get you points, and that's what you guys have been. And I think that if Mushu or Swanky Tiger, who have both done in the past, if they can, maybe start winning a few matches themselves, this is a much more dangerous looking team, and they have a chance to get on a real roll into the playoffs. So we'll have to wait and sit on that, but I still think that Another Storm, along with some of these other teams I mentioned so far, all have the chances to really start steamrolling into the playoffs. But we'll have to see. They definitely have to start picking up some wins.
Yeah, the community is the Texas Stubbies are obviously out of the top 10 because they have 52 points, are in the top of their blue division, so they should not be in the top 10. What the heck were we smoking? What
I
is
don't know,
going
but I
on
want
with the
some.
community? I'm looking at this and going, oh yeah, Texas Stubbies at 12. I'm going, huh? I mean, this is, again, maybe it's like new team bias or something. It's like no one really knows who the Stubbies are, but they're 3-0. They have 50 plus points. They've done very, very well, and across the board, they have a really good 1, 3, and 4 seed. Uh, I don't understand how the community has this at 12, but I realize I have to be a representative of quote unquote the community, so I'm gonna be the community guy there. Yeah, no, they're not proven. I think they got off on a hot streak, and they're probably they'll tank it for the rest of the year. I think Philly Hearth will probably upset them. They still, they have to go up against ATL. They're just not going to do very great. I think they're a paper champion right now, and we're going to go from there.
Yeah, it's
I
actually
love
really interesting. You would normally expect some of these rankings, like Stubby's really down low, as they are right now, to be part of a low survey pool. So usually we get around 10 respondents to the survey, and usually they end up okay. And you would think that this would be because of less, but really we got more this week than the past few weeks. We got 20 respondents, so it's really interesting to see that that's where they place them. And I don't
I
know.
will I will say this. I will say this. They're 3-0 overall. But if you take all of their games, their game record, and combine that together, the 3-2s, the 2-3s, the 3-0s, they're 28-28. They're a 500 team in terms of games. So they just happen to be on the right side of the points and put the right things together. They're like that baseball team that just plays really good fundamentals, but their run differential sucks. That's what I see from the Texas Stubbies. Every other team in the top 10 has a pretty decent uh, like game record, and they're sitting there right at 500. So they're 3-0 right now. Can they continue it, and can they start to distance themselves? We'll see.
I mean, if those 2 and 5 seeds start winning too, then they're just gonna go on a tear, honestly. But I don't think they deserve to be ranked anywhere close to this low. That one's weird. Oh well. Let's move on to number 11. So number 11, I got Swagaway. They've kind of been up and down so far this season. You could make a case that they deserve to be ranked higher as well. But I don't know. I value like especially the black division a lot higher than the rest, just because it's just so tough. But they haven't done bad this season. The 3 and 4 seeds have done really well. They actually have a losing win percentage overall, but they're 2-1 and have gotten the points when it counts. So I mean, that's all I can really ask for. They played us pretty solid. We had a good week against them. I think we ended up losing due to a DQ. I don't remember anyway, but
No, you
it
just
was a
lost
close
because we
league.
were better. I mean, that's all it
That's
was.
fair enough.
I
Fair
don't know
enough.
what you're talking about.
Fair enough. All right, I'll accept that. But no, like I said, you can make a case they could be ranked maybe a little higher. But I think they fit here.
Yeah. So I got them here too. They are tied with Doghouse right now at 49 points apiece for the purple division. Um, but they also, if I'm not mistaken, you guys lost to Doghouse by 1, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So um, I don't know. Might have just been how the matches turned and all of that. But I'm gonna put them here just because of that loss to Doghouse. To be respectful of results, and I think you made a good point. They've done well in the. I think they've done well in the 2, 3, 4 seed, and no one has done horrifically over the course of the season. They've all done pretty well in their own respective seeds, and I think they just have to start getting more wins. Just trying to get more wins from their 5-1 in their set. Um, but I don't think that's going to be a big issue. I think that this team can definitely, in the future, make a playoff run. This is one of the teams that is trying to get into the playoffs. And interesting, you brought up win rate for the Stubbies, and Doghouse has a 563 average or win percentage games wise, and then you guys are a little below 500. And again, that's just sometimes that's how the matches turn, how the games roll out, and play styles and things like that. But it'll be interesting to see how, as the season continues to move on, how that affects Swagway.
Yeah, definitely. I'll touch on that a little bit later once we get to the community's feelings about both the Doghouse and Swagoy in that realm. We have NWA in here at the 11th spot. A lot has been said about them already. Um, a very solid team. They're kind of a middle out team. Their 3 seed does very well, and then the points kind of taper off uh, from as you kind of go out to the 2, 3, 4 seed and the 5 seeds as well. They are only 7 points back. They have plenty of room ahead of them to kind of make some leeway. I think this is kind of the representation of really shaking out right now. We know what the bottom teams are. We know what the very top teams are. Everything that's kind of in between 6 to 13 can shift at a dime week by week. So I'm interested to see what NWA does going forward.
Yeah, these some interesting spots to try and rank is right here, I think. So moving on to number 10.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting that uh, I have, well, now we know this, but I have Heck Boys above every team in purple, and that's a little bit of bias. But it's interesting that other people have that too. Because results wise, it's been Doghouse and Swaggle, and we're only down by 2 points, but we'll get into that later. So I have Doghouse here too. I think that they are, like you said, in a purple division that is very, very not one-sided at all. Anybody could take it, and it's not super powerful either, like the cyan, sigrenal, black division. Um, so I think that's interesting, and I don't know. I think it's a really close division, and right now it's really hard to rank these teams because one, we haven't been watching this, every match played between these streams, and looking at how active the teams have been. But I think that just Doghouse beat Swagway last week. I'm not basing everything off of that, but I'm just gonna put them one above Swagway because these are really hard for me to do.
Yeah, and we have Hearthstone Academy in the 10 spots. Probably just because they had a 6 point week. Granted, it was against Dirty Mike and the boys, but you would expect HSA to put up a little bit more of a fight in that spot. So I think the community kind of took them down a peg or two. Still a top 10 team in the league, still in the top half, but um, are they as powerful as people think they are? They're a 2-time defending champion at THL, but they've shown some chinks in the armor a little bit. So, granted, they had a really tough start to their schedule. I believe that they played both Golden Wisp and Dirty Mike and the boys in their first 3 weeks. Coming up, they got Prep Coin Concede, and then they get Defias, Get Off My Lawn, NWA, Thermic Whims. So we'll really see what they're made of here going forward. But right now, they aren't the defending champs that people were expecting, and they kind of are slipping right now, even to the point where they are 16th in overall points.
Yeah, there's I'm gonna touch on them later. I'll wait till I get to them. But all right, so number 9, I have Prep Coin Concede. They've been another one of those kind of up and down teams. It's kind of hard to say like where to really put them officially, just because they've kind of won some, lost some. They've been getting a lot of DQs in their favor. So I mean, if they had to play those games, would they have won or lost? I don't know, but they're kind of one of those meddling teams in the. I'm not even going to try and name that color division, just the oddball division, I guess. That's what I'm going to call it from now on. But I don't know. I think they're going to do better than like and challenge for a playoff spot, but so far they haven't quite shown it. But they got some strength there. Let's see what they have, like what actually happens when they play a full week of games and not get DQs in their favor. But we'll see how that pans out. I think they're going to do pretty good. But for now, I got them at 9.
And I have HSA here. I think that on standings, this is obviously, I think, tied for 15th in points. But also look at the teams they have played so far. Most recently, Team Golden Wisp and Dirty Mike and the boys. And let's see. They put up 9 points against Golden Wisp and 6 against Dirty Mike and the boys. And I had them higher even after their loss to Golden Wisp because, one, it was Golden Wisp, and two, this roster looked pretty good. But after a loss to Dirty Mike and the boys, you start to have. I mean, they're a good team, but they only put up 6 points, and you start to have to ask the questions. This is a tough division. Where are they going to get their points from? And Dynamis has been a little disappointing so far, and so and we saw that Katoda match on stream, and I think Katoda played well, but Hearthstone happened, and Dirty Mike also did a good job. So, this team was looking to get top heavy good wins from their 3 seed and their 2 seed, and so far that's not been the case. And luckily for them, they're still in it because even though they're a top heavy team, their 4 and 5 have done well. Like in comparison to the PR of their top, obviously top heavy team. So the roster looks good. I really hope that they can pull it back together as an ex HSA member, hashtag HSAA. So yeah, hopefully they can turn it around. I think that they can. So I have them up here in top 10. I think that they can make a push for the playoffs.
Yeah, the Doghouse comes in at number 9, so they're in the top 10. But interestingly enough, like there are still 2 magenta purple teams ahead of them that the community has voted in the top 10, which I think is representative of just this division overall. People like to think it's a weak division because it has a team like the Bad Hombres in it, but we've seen the Bad Hombres as an 18-point week. All of these teams in the magenta division are within slivers of points of each other. So I think that the Doghouse narrowly beat Swagway. They beat us by a point. Made for a really entertaining series overall. I think that they have a decent enough schedule going forward that I think they're a really solid team. They have a really good 3 seed. Their 3 and 2 seeds are awesome. They have a really good 5 seed. They have all the makings of a team that should sneak into the playoffs and just kind of be a consistent performer week in and week out. So I think it's between the Doghouse, Swagoy, and the Heck Boys, it's going to be a really fun dash to the playoffs.
Absolutely. So number 8, I have Synergy. They lost to the Stubbies last week. I'm pretty sure it was a close series. Let's see if I get the numbers here. Yeah, lost. I knew it was point or two. I was just trying to figure exactly what it was. But yeah, they're the 2 tops of blue right now, and it goes to show when it comes out to a 1-point difference that they are the tops of blue, and they're pretty equally matched in terms of like who's better than who. But they've done pretty well so far this season. They're in position to make the playoffs. They're about 10 points ahead of us or so, or 9, something like that. But we play them this week, and I think, like I said earlier, for us, it's make or break for both of us. Not so much for them; like they can afford to lose and still do pretty well. But I think this week coming up between us both is going to be like the most telling so far. But they've done pretty good so far this season. They're off to a pretty good start. They're in a good position, so and they have in position, so it works out even better. But yeah, I think they're rightfully ranked at number 8 for now.
Yep. Same here with you. Um, they have been really been carried through Dexter, Boom Boom Hall, and Samu, putting up a combined total of 32 out of their 50 points. So yeah, besides match win points. So I think they're really strong in that sense. And they're it's interesting. The 1 through 3 seeds, JR, Imposition, Samu, are within 1 PR of each other. Um, just to give you kind of the perspective that Samu easily could become the 1 seed next week. So I think that's interesting. JR has done really well, and he moves to the 1 seed. I think that JR can handle it. Imposition moves down to the 2, and had been a little shaky in the 1, but I think that going down to the 2 will be able to help him succeed. So I don't know. I think this is a good team. They obviously beat us the week before, so I have a lot of respect for them. And I think that before we were talking about 3 teams from Purple maybe getting into the playoffs, taking 2 of the wild cards because Blue looked really weak. But I think with the emergence of Stubbies and his energy, it's going to be more like a split 2-2.
Yeah, the community put Swagoy at number 8, despite us losing to the Doghouse by a single point. But really, I think at this point, um, just because look at the points, we're both tied at 49. Doghouse has the tiebreaker. You can really just kind of flip us. I think just 1-2 on each of these kind of spots in our division. Um, I think the great surprise that I think people maybe like kind of the understated performer of the season so far is Earl. He started as our 3 seed. He is now our 1 seed. He's had a nice 3-0 start to his season, as have I. The top 3 seeds for us are almost just as interchangeable, depending on who has a good week, who doesn't, and then you'll have me kind of consistently in the 4 spot, and Doc McButt still showing a good performance, and he's still he has progressed from 2 seasons ago to where he is now. He's still looking to kind of get better and perform, and he's already notched a win this season, and he's still going to try and get some points together. He's really working hard to become a better player. So, I think Earl and I are always going to kind of be there, be the consistent ones, and I think Anamore and Tom Locke are going to find their groove and kind of start putting things together as well. I think it's going to be a really fun race for the playoffs with the rest of these teams, and we're looking forward to the rest of the season.
I just want to say I love McButt. He's the man. Almost made me get a tattoo.
I know, right? We need to have another bet for that. Someone needs to get a Doc McButt tattoo going.
Well, he's got to get the 3-0 for the playoffs again. That's all.
Cool. I have the Texas Stubbies here. I'm a Stubbies fan, but I have them at 7. They beat not Swagway, sorry. They beat Zenergy by 1 point, and because of that, they took the lead in the division. And that division is really close. And I think that I don't know, so Zenergy played Heck Boys and Stubbies, and then the Stubbies have played Another Storm, Philly Hearth, and Zenergy. So I think that Zenergy might have played a tougher team in the Heck Boys. um, but I think that Stubby's obviously going off to 3-0. Hard to argue with that. For people saying that they are an unproven team, that they haven't played 3 of the toughest teams, they haven't played three of the toughest teams, but at the same time, they've been able to be consistent and show up to each of their matches and get wins. They go on this week to play. I'm not actually sure who they play this week, but I do know that they have yet. It's interesting. They have yet to play a team from Purple, and I think that's when the competition starts to get a little more average. Let's see how they do. I'm really excited. I love new teams coming in, and especially where we had them early in the season. We weren't expecting very much based on their PR, but they're coming out to play, and I'm excited for that.
Stubbies are going up against Noob Central in week 4.
Thank you.
For the community, we have Zenergy here at number 7, which is, I think, spot on. They have, 50-point team. They have a really good 3, 4, 5 seed composition of their team. The 1 seed has been the weak link so far, but they have a really good team composition, and they really look like they can choose their classes well. They have an interesting schedule going forward. That's the thing about the blue magenta, blue purple conference, is that you look at every single matchup going forward for almost every team, and there's not any definitive like, well, obviously they're going to run roughshod through the rest of the schedule, or obviously they're going to defeat all these other teams. Every team that you look at between blue and purple it can be a coin toss. Anyone can win at any point. But Zenergy so far has really shown a really good composition at the back end of their squad. So I see no reason for that to slow down, and they will probably be a very consistent playoff team going forward.
Absolutely. I can't wait to play them this week. It's going to be fun, I think. All right, so I don't know. We're not at top 5 yet. Yeah, number 6. So, number 6, I have the Texas Stubbies. They played us week 1. They did really well. They beat us. They beat. I don't remember who they played week 2. And then they beat Zenergy this past week by a point. So they've definitely stepped up, and they're definitely one of those teams I said at the start of the season that if they performed, they will definitely move up. And they've definitely performed and stepped up, showed up, and done really well so far. They're 3-0, leading blue. There's not much else to say. If they keep winning, I might even move them up some more. Who knows?
I have Prepcoin Concede at 6. I had them at 2 last week, and I was really excited for the Prepcoin Concede train, and they immediately told me, no, put us a little lower. They're coming off their first loss of the season to Defies Brotherhood, and I think that there's merit to putting them even lower than I did because of the team that Defias has showed us to be. Uh, Putting up a 3-point week against Dirty Mike the week before. And I think that Prep Coin can see this is like more of a reality check that they can't just worry about the good teams in each division. I think, I don't know exactly what happened in that match, but I know the players on that team are good. They just have to start getting back to their first 2 weeks, putting up 15 and 16 points against Get Off My Lawn and Dirty Mike and the Boys. I think, well, Necrotic has been handed, I think, 2 DQs already. So that has helped them in terms of points. But Crackshot takes his first loss in quite a while, dating back to last season, I think, to Arcane, I think. Uh, I think so. So Rebobson also takes their first loss, but these are good players. Jetlaw's a good player. Cinder, let's see if is 0-3 right now, I think, but we'll have to see if they can get back on, and find their rhythm. They might have gotten 1 win, I forget, but I don't have all that pulled up right now. But I think this is a really good team. They just need to get back into their rhythm.
Yeah, the community has Prep Coin Concede here as well. It's interesting how much credit they give this team despite losing to a Defias Brotherhood team that spotted them 2 DQs. If you're spotted 2 DQs and you still lose, that's kind of a red flag. But everyone looks at the composition of Prep Coin Concede. They see who's on the team, and they expect performance and they expect results out of them. So are they really a top 10 team? We'll find out going forward. They have definitely a hard schedule going forward as well. I don't think they're going to get a lot more DQs putting in their spots. So we'll see what's going to happen with Prep Coin Concede. I think the jury's still out on them on whether or not they're a top tier team or not. But they certainly, you look at them on paper, and they certainly have all the aspects of a team that should do very well.
Also, my bad. Rebobson did not take their first loss. They simply got a DQ win.
Yep. He tried. That's what counts.
Yep.
All right, so here's the top 5 coming up here. It's always the best part because it's the easiest to rank, I think, so far. Or at least, personally, I think it is. All right, so number 5. This is probably the only questionable one, but I'm going to leave it here for now, is the Heck Boys. That whole purple division is unexplainable. I'm not even going to try. It's debatable whether you guys deserve to be here, but I'm going to give it to you for now. I got faith. I think you guys are a pretty solid team. Where are we at here? Yeah, it's the 1 seed and the 4 that got to step it up for you guys, but the 2 and the 5. The 5 is a key position to get points out of and has been. I mean, every position is key, but 5 I think is one of the most important. So, I mean, I think you guys are going to do good going forward. I don't know when we play you, but I'm looking forward to that as well.
Yeah. Thanks. And I'll say the same about our team. I think that when you look at it, points wise, people would say, "Oh, you're weakest points wise in the 1 in 4 seeds." But at the same time, Brewski, I'll always bet on Brewski. So you know, maybe a little bit of a weak start, but also Brewski has played some really tough opponents, including Slimsh last week. So it'll be interesting. I think that Blue Sombrero, who's in chat right now, has been doing really well for us. Has put up 10 points so far this season. And Hound is a new player, has come in and put up a lot of points for us. So that's really awesome. He's 2 and run right now. Bork is currently the second lowest in terms of points on our team with 6. But a lot of that has to do with the DQ last week, getting no points off of that. So it'll be interesting. Would be interesting to see the difference between that DQ and not being DQ'd last week. That match was a big match in terms of that win/loss for us. But and then I have done pretty well for myself, a little better than I think I expected to be doing. But it's just really gives me a lot of confidence and lets me share that confidence with the team. And it's just been really awesome to interact with these guys on Discord and continue to have these interactions after HSA season 6. So I think that we have a good team, and we're going to look to maybe get a few more points and get into the playoffs.
Yeah, the community has Thermic Whims here at number 5. And, there might be someone who kind of looks at the points and looks at the standing and says, Thermic Whims is a 43-point team. They're third in their division. How can they be a top 5 team? Well, look at their schedule. Thermic Whims went up against Aeon, Team Golden Wisp, and Dirty Mike and the Boys, I think is their opponent here going into week 4. And then they have the Pod People in week 2. That is, that might be the toughest start to a season that I think any team has in THL. So to put that all together and get 43 points out of it and still be fighting for a playoff spot afterwards, I think kind of grants you the fact that if you are the third best team in the toughest division, you're probably a top 5 team. So that's why I think the community has Thermic Whims here. Their schedule gets a lot easier going forward. So they have all the opportunity to start gaining more points after putting up a valiant effort in this very tough first 4 weeks of them.
Absolutely. All right. Yeah, number 4. Oh, one second. All right. So, yeah, much like what you said, I have Thermic Whims here. It's just based on, like, the teams they've played against, as you said. It was Aeon and Team Golden Wisp, 2 of the best teams in the league, and they held their own against both. Like, they didn't just play them and lose. Sure, a lot of teams are going to do that, but they lost by, what, a point to Aeon, and I think it was 5 points to Golden Wisp. And that's solid. I mean, if you can get that many points out of both of those teams and come that close to them, then you're holding your own against the best right there. And I mean, they still have to show up the next couple weeks because we're putting them here on faith just based on performance of how they did against the best. But if they don't show up against those teams that are supposedly weaker, then I don't see them lasting here. But they've shown up and done really well so far. So I think they've earned number 4.
Yeah, I agree with everything that both of you said. Just looking at their strength of schedule so far, it's just been insane. And for them to put up, like last week, they put up 11 points, in the week before that, 15 in the week before that, 14 against Aeon in a loss. And at that point, you have to be looking at that as just for your first week as a team, that's a win. And I think that also shows that they are 1-2. They did beat the Pod people, so they were able to capitalize on a team that might have not been as good as some of the other teams they played. Um, but I think that moving into the rest of the season, they have to start to really capitalize on other teams, such as or not Dirty Mike, Defies Brotherhood, and depending on how this goes, uh, Get Off My Lawn, NWA maybe. If they can beat those teams, and if they can win against some of the other teams shooting for playoffs, like Prep Coin Concede, uh, and HSA and other teams of that caliber, they are. I think they are playoff bound, and that's exciting. I love new teams going far. Obviously, that was the HSA story in our first season, and I am always for new teams and coming out to hot starts. So I'm excited for them.
Just real quick, props to Switters.
Props to Switters.
Yeah, the community has Heck Boys at the top 5 and puts them in at number 4, which is interesting to me because they're third in their division at 47 points. But unlike Thermic Whims, the Heck Boys' schedule hasn't been that murderer's row that Thermic Whims has had. You look at who they've gone up against so far. The Heck Boys had Philly Hearth, they had Noob Central, they had Zenergy. Zenergy was obviously a good team in there too, but they're 2-1. I think, are they a top 5 team? I think that's debatable. Are they a top 10 team? Certainly, they are definitely in the conversation for that. But a lot's going to be known about the Heck Boys going forward. They're part of that really jumbled together magenta division. They are a solid team. We'll find out if they're a top 5 team going forward. But are they in that same? Can you put them in the same breath of someone like an Aeon, a Dirty Mike, and the Boys, and a Golden Wisp? No, I think it's 3 top teams and then everybody else. And Heck Boys for the community is the top of everybody else.
It's hard to say it's even top like 3. I think it's only number 1 and 2 that are solidified right now. The rest have all moved.
Yeah, possibly.
All right, so let's. So yeah, number 3, I got Dirty Mike and the Boys. Had a huge week last week. They've always been a pretty consistent team. Most of their players are doing pretty well. Wrong sheet. So yeah, the only one that's got like a low point total overall is the 1 seed. He still got 6, good enough. But I mean, he got 6, 12, 10, 12, and 8. So there's 37 and 20 in their match records. So they've done really well. They actually have the highest win percentage. Yep. So they're definitely worthy of the top 3. They got 54 points. It's number 3 in the whole league. So I think it fits. They've done really well this season.
Yeah. They lost to Prep Coin Concede in week 1, and they were like, you know what? Nah, we're just gonna win, and they put up 20 points against Defies Brotherhood, which wasn't a big surprise. I mean, sweeping, that's really hard no matter what team you go against, but that was a big step for them. And then last week, they beat HSA 18-6 in another big win, putting up a total of 21 points, including their match win bonus. And like you said, everyone has been doing really well on the team. Lefty, you know, let's see in the future if this changes, but Lefty has been having a little bit of a tougher time pulling out match wins. Uh, and I find it really interesting with this format of a team. Just you see the Texas Stubbies and Dirty Mike and the Boys, they are both doing really well. And by this format of a team, I'm talking about very spread out PR with high PR 5 seed. Uh, if I'm not mistaken, the Texas Stubbies 5 seed Osmonot started off with 260 PR, and in 3 weeks, and obviously this is a PR modifier for first 10 weeks, but is already at 199. And Cody has put up 8 points, which is very, very respectable. But it's interesting because a lot of these teams, you look at them and you're like, oh, they're trying to capitalize and get points in the 5 seed. And it's a good sign for the team that they are not relying on that, in my opinion. Because if you start relying on certain seeds, that's when the team gets a little uh, uh, streaky and can be hard to pick to win every single week. But this is a team that has a core 3 that has been doing really well, and I think that they'll continue to do well into the playoffs.
The community has Aeon at 3rd in the league because reasons is all I can think. Aeon is a team that leads the league in points. They have one of the best win percentages. They have the most individual games won overall at 40. and the community puts them at third. The only thing I can think of that you could kind of put as something against Aeon is the fact that they have not yet played Team Golden Wisp. They have not played Dirty Mike and the Boys. They have not played HSA. They have not played Prep Coin Concede. That might be the only thing that the community has holding them back. Who knows? Maybe the community's just petty, and they said, "No, we don't want to put Aeon. They're going to be third. We're going to put them there." That's the only thing I can think of putting Aeon third. But again, I think the top three teams, it's kind of top three and everybody else, in my opinion. Aeon can do a lot of different things. They are very, very even. I think every single seed on their team has either 9 or 10 points. So none of them are the best individual seed in the league, but all of them are some of the top in the league. So you put that together, you have a great team composition, and it makes them one of the best.
Absolutely. All right, so let's see. We got the big number house in the community, I guess.
You good?
Yeah, no, I just I clicked the wrong button twice. So yeah, number 2 I got Aeon. I don't think I'm gonna rank well until one of these two loses. I think number 1 and number 2 is gonna stay the same for me, but it's you can switch either one however you want. But Aeon is number 2 for me. They're one of the best teams in the league. They've obviously proved it. They've won nonstop, and yeah, they've just done a good job overall. But I want to see the Golden West Aeon showdown. I think Durden said it's next week. Not this week coming up, week 4, but like week 5, I think he said it was. But I'm waiting for that.
Yeah. One of the arguments made for Aeon is that it's hard to find a hole in their team. Looking at the 1 seed, Dwayna has come in and uh, just has done really well, putting up 9 points in his first season in the league. And then you got D Lineman, Hockey Boys, and Follow Durden all putting up 10, and Darksea putting up 9. And I think it's really interesting that no one is 3-0 on this team, yet they are number 1 in point total. And I think that speaks to everybody is able to win on this team. They will have, let's just take a random player on the team. Darkseid lost once, I think, to Starden, I want to say, or Expendable. I think Expendable. Yeah, Expendable. No, I don't know. No, Starden. I'm smart. Lost to Starden, and that will happen. Hearthstone will happen. The games will be played, and RNG will decide some things. And I'm not saying that Starden won because of RNG. Just it will happen where that plays into matches, and skill accounts for a good percentage of Hearthstone. But they built this team in a way that they can afford people to lose and still pull off 18-point weeks, and they have been doing that. And I think it just kind of shows with their 57-point total so far through 3 matches. I think that they're definitely in the conversation for number 1 with Team Golden Wisp. A lot of people have Team Golden Wisp just as their number 1 without thinking a lot about it, but I think that Aeon definitely you can make a case for them, and they just in terms of stats they've done better than Team Golden Wisp, but I think there's more in-depth conversation about that.
Yeah, Dirty Mike and the Boys comes in at second place from the community. They're 2-1. That loss comes from Prep Coin Concede in the very first week of the season. Other than that, they've handled their business. They've gotten a lot of points from the middle of their order and the 2, 3, 4 seeds as well. I think that they have a lot of stuff going for it. The great thing is that these top 3 seeds, when you look at them, none of them have played each other yet. So we'll really know a lot about them going forward. Dirty Mike and the Boys is coming off of a great week where they really shellacked Hearthstone Academy. I think that going forward, we'll know more about what they're going to do. I want to see if their 1 seed and their 5 seed can step up.
Yep. And moving on to the big bad number 1. Oh, I gotta stop doing that. Alright, so number 1, as expected, Team Golden Wisp. Until one of you guys loses, it probably won't change for me and Aeon. Unless, obviously, you guys beat them, then it definitely will change. But if you guys both went, like, undefeated it's impossible because you have to play each other. But other than that, for the rest of the season, probably wouldn't move much. You're easily the top two best teams in the league. So until somebody takes you down, neither one of you are going to move. If one really starts to outperform the other, then obviously I'd switch it. But for now, Golden Wisp has done it for over a full season. Obviously not counting the playoffs, even though you're all going to meme about it right now. But they're deserving of number one. They've done really well for over a season. They continue to just crush the league. So I'm going to leave them there. They deserved it.
Yeah. Seoyun comes back after a very, very good performance at the preliminaries, right? I think those were the preliminaries. I don't pay attention to that as much, but did a very good job getting to the semifinals, I believe. And that did account for a DQ against HSA, but excuse me. But coming back and joins Fly Sly at 500 PR, DreamHack finals. Okay. But Fly Sly and Seoyun are probably one of the best 1-2 punches in the league, if not the best. And then Alec at the 3 seed. That's just looking at that. It's again we're going over roster here, but that's just they got those players on a team and it's insane. And then like it's not even taxed by bad 4 and 5 players. Asuna comes in and has been doing really well. And really well, in fact, that Asuna has a total of 9 points, and Avatar has a total of 10 points. So this, like, it's hard to find holes in this team. I'm just gonna leave it at that. The Aeon and Golden Wisp, the reason they're 1 and 2 is because each player can win against anybody they play in that seed, I think. So yeah, that's just my opinion on that.
Yeah, Golden Wisp, they know what they're made of. They have a really solid team, just like Aeon. Everyone kind of performs top to bottom in their spot. The only thing that I'll point out is that if you look at like the overall game record, excuse me, Aeon is 40 and 23, and Team Golden Wisp is 30 and 20. That's like a 10 game difference. Maybe that's just because maybe Aeon's games go farther to get like those 3-2 wins and that kind of stuff. There is a DQ on Team Golden Wisp side, but these two teams are interchangeable. You look at Aeon, Dirty Mike, Golden Wisp, put any of them where they want to be. I'm really excited as the season goes on to see these teams play each other. I definitely hope that we'll get some of these games on Salty Saturday and Friday Night Fight. I think it's going to be a really cool season going forward.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's definitely. I can't wait to watch those two play each other. I think like Durden said it was week 5 that Golden Wisp and Aeon go together, and me, myself, and I even mentioned they could possibly tie, so we could be going back and forth with this for the rest of the season.
I also think it's just wrapping this up here. It's really interesting how at the beginning of the season it was like, oh, the most interesting conference / division is the Black Sigrinal division, just because it has the most power. But we've gotten to a point now that almost like if we're talking bad hombres are going try hard and we just got a result in from our match against them, which I think it's public info, so I can share that. Our 3 seed lost to Smoke Salmon. So I think that this team is going hard now. And that's scary. And I think that every team in purple, maybe Noob Centrals and Hombres have a little less of a chance, but they can all make the playoffs. They're all really close to each other. And then blue isn't the kind of grass watching show that they talked about in the salty storylines at the beginning of the season. We have Texas Stubbies and Zenergy, and then Netherstorm trying to get into that hunt. And that's also really interesting. So I'm really happy with how this season has been panning out in terms of just overall competitiveness, and I'm excited for the rest of it to play out.
Looking at these power rankings going forward and the schedule for week 4, what do you guys think is the game of the week, judging by the power rankings?
Ooh, that's a good question. Hold on here. Let me take another look. This could be.
I'll throw one out to start off with. I know I see Dirty Mike and the boys playing Thermic Whims. I think that's my game of the week so far, but there's a lot of other good ones as well.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a good one to call. Even NWA versus Golden West, just because we finally can see what maybe NWA could possibly be made of. If they really want to make a statement, this is their week to do it. I think us versus Energy is a pretty good one too, just because it's our chance to like make our statement as well. And if we lose here, I think it's going to be a really rough road to try and actually make the playoffs. But there's a couple good matches this week.
Yeah. Anyways, guys, thank you all for coming out here for another week of Team Power Rankings. This has been really fun the past few weeks, just leading this with Chigmo and excuse me. Um, so as you've seen for the past 2 weeks, we have me, myself, and I, and now Brasky. And Brasky, thank you so much for coming on to the show.
It's my pleasure, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So you guys saw that, and you guys can take on Brasky's role right now. Brasky is technically a guest, so just PM me on Discord, and you guys can be the community rankings kind of correspondent. And just talk with us on the show, and it's really awesome. You saw that we had a lot of fun with Brewski. Sorry, I keep on saying Brewski. Brasky.
No, one is a 4 seed, the other is really good at Hearthstone.
Yeah, but you guys can come on the show and have a lot of fun with us, argue against different things, agree with different things, and it's really fun. Again, these are all opinionated, so this isn't like a standings. This doesn't have anything other than what we think the power of these teams are. And yeah, this is going to be weekly at this time, around this time, around 8 on Tuesday nights Eastern time, and it's going to be exciting. Just a quick note: we will be sending out a survey for you guys to please participate in. That does have the community rankings. That's the result of that survey. So if you want to make these rankings just a lot better, that are a lot. The more people we have, basically, the better results come in. So you guys want to be a part of that? That will be awesome, and that'll come up Sunday night or Monday morning on Facebook. Okay. Thank you. If anyone else has anything to say, close off the show.
No, I think we're good. Thanks again, Brasky, for joining us, bud. Your voice is always a pleasure.
Much appreciated. Let's have a great week 4.
Yeah,
All
to
right,
week 4.
everybody.